We'd like to end sooner because there's only so many bases, right? 6 bases each isn't fun for the Zerg if it goes late game, and you're limited in choice for bases. So lots of reasons to end it early, maybe with some roaches. Let's find out as we start off the playoffs. In the top right-hand side, the blue Zerg player from XCOM Argo is Elazer.
And in the bottom left-hand side for Team Liquid, it is Clem. It's such a tricky map, this one, right? Because I agree with you. I mean, as the game gets longer, it's a little bit more and more difficult for Zerg potentially, but also roaches against... This is a kind of a tank paradise in my eyes as well. So it's a tough one to start for Elazer, I think, almost no matter how you look at it. But if he's able to make a game out of this one, or even take it, he will set himself up incredibly well for the rest of the series.
Yes, I feel like a 1-0 lead on a map that's, typically meant to be your opponent's kind of map, right? It really does set the precedent, and it's really, says that you mean business. So great opportunity for Elazer right out the gates. We'll see what he's going to bring. I really am intrigued to see just what kind of stars he has today. Yeah, I feel like, honestly, for Elazer, it's good if he mixes up game by game. Don't let Clem get into a rhythm, right? Don't let him just be like, oh yeah, this worked, or that's how you're doing this. Let me just adjust it, because that's something which Clem is great at doing as well. So I would just want to see Elazer here just switch it up game by game, kind of, don't do anything super crazy every game. Don't do something every, super standard every game, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, most definitely. Stylistically, I would also think that Clem, I mean, this has to be one of the better matchups for him stylistically, just because there's sometimes like the Cyril effect where, like where a player likes to play macro, but then you don't want to macro against Cyril because he's just going to win, right? And for Clem versus Elazer, they are both kind of mid-game oriented. They are both hyper-aggressive. And we know that, I mean, Clem is just usually considered the better player overall. So it should be a very exciting series. It should be action-packed. It should be chaotic, but it's really up to Elazer to kind of stand up for himself and show everyone that he can keep up with Clem.
Absolutely, as this Reaper's going to get active right away, and a couple of Lings already starting to take some damage. This is kind of bad if you finally get the target fire on that second Ling. Now you're going to get a third Ling. I mean, that from Elazer is just not meant to happen. You're not meant to lose 3 Lings right off the get-go, and he just got bullied back into the corner, had nowhere to run the Lings to, and he just couldn't force Clem to turn back around again.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at the control from Elazer, and there wasn't too much. I felt like he could have done much better, right? Like, maybe poke forward with one of his Lings a little bit earlier, like he was kind of running back a lot of the time. But all in all, he didn't do too poorly. He was hiding. It's just Clem is just so willing to get in there, just doesn't respect the Queen, knows his timings, knows he's fast. And I mean, his clicks were just as good as they could be in the focus fire. So killing 3 Lings, like you said, not what Elazer wants, but also it's just kind of all Clem, right? It's just Clem being that good.
Sometimes it's just the price you have to pay when Clem is your opponent, and it's a little bit rough for sure, but definitely true. As you see, the Queens are trying to set up on the left side to push that Reaper away. The Hellions are going to be joining up here as well, as Clem going for what I would say is one of his more favored openers, right? Just this Hellion Liberator. Going to take a little bit of a later third as he Reaper grenades his way through. This is actually going to be really good because there's no Lings out right now because he killed the early Zerglings. So he's actually going to be able to get in here. 4 drones already. And for what, just a couple of Hellions? I would say this is already fantastic because it's such early game damage. You're going to get 6 drones for 2 Hellions. Absolutely take that every single time.
Absolutely. And like you said, like you highlighted, it's very early damage. That is really, really going to put a dent into the economy of Elazer, who is even in workers at this stage in the game, never where you want to be. And got to highlight, oh, wow, once again, this Hellion's forcing 3 spores. That's going to be painful. And once again, highlighting just how good Clem is, right? Like the grenade, actually perfect position to catch 2 Queens. Yeah. It's minor details, but it buys him more time. He probably gets a couple of extra drones because he's that good,
No, absolutely. It is the difference between sometimes that being a success and a complete failure. And yeah, it's just amazing. And then now you've got this Liberator showing up, right? So you've got to go deal with that as a Elazer. That's always annoying when Clem's in control of it. He is so good at making use of this Liberator and just trying to get damage done. He's, well, usually very rarely sieging it up in positions like this where it's very vulnerable, so it is going to go down only for a Queen. But the Hellions are showing up on the third. They don't want to get too involved. They know they're being chased by Queens and New Lings. Okay, well, that was actually not very Clem-like. Usually he's really good at keeping that lib alive. In this case, he really was actually way more committed than I think he thought, than he probably thought he was.
Yeah, but at the same time, difficult to fault them. And to the credit of Elazer, I mean, look at that overlord spread, right? Like the Liberator was spotted going in. So what Clem did was once he got past that vision of the overlord, he kind of turned around, assuming that Elazer would react to the Liberator and send his queens to the main. In the main, there was actually just the one queen, and there's no creep connecting the main and the natural. So if Clem had known that, I'm sure he would have gone to the main, kind of mind gaming himself, knowing that Elazer has gathered the information, again, to Elazer's credit. So he turns around and, unfortunately for him, finds two queens too fast.
Yep, as we have our Hellions around that right side. Just going to be really looking for these drones. He's going to get there, and I mean, Elazer didn't pull drones away or anything. He just believed that Clem would back off. And he has the Lings over here now, so the Hellions are committed, but they do get 11 and 12 drones, make it 13 to wrap it up. And honestly, a few Lings to go along with it as well. And that's the sort of trade where, again, Clem is just happy. He's forcing Elazer to stay in the droning phase of the game for so much longer than he wants to. This gives Clem a really good chance to just have an extremely competitive army on the map. And when Elazer is trying to play like a 1-1 roach timing, so he is going to introduce these roaches this game, well, I mean, that's just going to be weakened so much. Your timing is going to be nowhere near what it's meant to be when you've been losing this amount of workers all game long.
Yeah, and look at this Marine move out as well with the two medevacs. I don't know or think that Clem is looking to do too much damage. Beautiful siege tank as well in case those Marines get ambushed there in the middle of the map. But this is going to continue to force Elazer to stay low on drones, right? It's going to continue to force Elazer to make units when he doesn't want to make units. So I think Clem is just super happy with that. I don't think he needs to push the issue. And we are seeing roaches from Elazer, which is commendable for everything that we've been talking about. But this game already feels like it's getting out of his grasp.
Which is crazy. Like, your first roaches are, basically not even on the map. And, the game already feels lost a little bit. And, yeah, there's ways he can get back into it, I'm sure. But Clem is making all the right decisions to just try and keep Elazer behind, because he'll know he's got that slight advantage from early on. And Clem is absolutely the kind of player to take advantage of things like that. That's what makes him so scary in this matchup in general. I mean, this Ling run by, absolutely no hope of even getting close to an SCV. Yeah, so Clem looks good defensively for now. I mean, it will just come down to this roach attack, but Clem knows it's happening. Bunkers are on the way up. He is going to be well prepared.
Lovely. And this is exactly what we wanted to see from Clem, right? Like, maybe this is him rethinking these things. Maybe this is the evolution that we needed to see. Still Marines, no really any Marauders in production. There is a tech lab available in one of the barracks, so I would like to see some Marauders being added. But for the most part, the bunkers, the tanks anchoring, the wall-off against Rambais for the most part, but also potentially going to help here. Yeah, the tanks could be pulled further back, I was going to say, not forward. And this is the kind of thing where I get a little bit scared. But hey, never mind. That's actually brilliant. Protecting the rocks. I didn't think he could get there in time, but this is amazing. This is going to buy him so much time.
Yep, just a few more moments of Elazer, burrowed and tunneling claws. It's just kind of, so in TVC feels like a desperation call, as here we go. Tanks are sieged up, the Marines are in a beautiful concave. There's tanks that go very deep as well, one up that ramp, and that's going to help out a lot. And you can just see that this army of Elazer is not even getting close. Considering a lot of the time against this attack, you pull SCVs to make sure you're going to be okay as the Terran. Yeah, not even close. This is a complete shutdown. Elazer will get out here with some Ravages, and he really actually does have to turn to, like, overroad roach harassment to now try and get him into a good spot. And that is just, like I say, not natural in this matchup, as he stims through corrosive files, and he's just still chasing this down.
Yeah, and I love everything that we've seen from Clem this match as well. He never overcommitted with those two first medevacs. He just kept every unit alive. Now is the first time that he chases a little bit far away, maybe unnecessarily so to some degree. But all in all, he's done all the right moves. That tank line was so deep. The bunkers were timely. I mean, the wall off against the Rambai was, an extra building better than you would expect. It's such a long wall off. You can only breach if you actually have Banelings. Otherwise, you're, like you said, you're never going to get to that mineral line with any circlings. So yeah, Clem is just looking incredible this match.
Tank fire is good, hitting a couple of units, and he does actually pick up a unit that's rallying through. Let's see what these burrowed roaches can do. It's so, like, not normal. He's realized it now. He's seen the graphic and he starts up turrets, but these roaches will get in. I mean, like I say, it's just not something you usually have at this stage as a, of a CPT, so maybe it really can do some damage, as we do have some Marines. Just going to go for this right side. He's got the tanks in a forward position. Clem just needs to deal with this harassment while keeping this push going, and he should be golden. Obviously, do not let all the medevac get sniped by a couple of files. that would be really bad as well. But keeping them alive for the moment, and Clem is just keeping on moving through 2-2 against 1-1 right now.
Yeah, on the flip side, if Elazer can hold, even after losing this base, he is taking a northern base there, the 12 o'clock, so he can always reposition and mine that, and he has done 20 SCVs worth of damage on the other side of the map. I don't know why he's still looking to defend this position, right? Like, the base is already lost, you have to just forgo it. It is a high ground, so it's going to be annoying, but you just have to get out of here if you're Elazer. Just get enough units that you can crush this attack and trust that you've done enough damage on the other side of the map to try and stabilize.
Yeah, absolutely. The counterattack is absolutely saving him because it also means that Clem is not just rallying all of his units across the map either, which is, would have been a real possibility. I like this, targeting down the turret so you can keep those units a little while. Yeah, I mean, these units really want to commit, even though they're taking tank fire. He does get the tank high ground as well. 10 more SCVs going down. Clem's economy really is hurting now. Like, this has gone on way longer than I thought it would. I mean, Clem really hasn't cleaned it up as expected. Still roaches in the main base as well, killing off a siege tank. But Clem is on his way to killing another base of Elazer. So now you're knocked down to 3 bases again. And then even a 45 SCV Terran player is probably going to be feeling confident because they have the mules. They can rebuild up to 3 base economy if they want to. Clem's even planting his own 4th base in position.
Yeah, and now Elazer seems to have almost enough here to clear things through, but no, the tank line is very deep indeed, so it's going to cost him his entire army. And again, I think that Elazer gave himself a solid shot to do a little bit better than he ends up doing there, right? Like, once he forfeits that base, taking the 12 o'clock, the base that we see now on screen, was wonderful. That was beautiful. He was identifying, I'm going to lose this base, so I'm just going to move my drones there and everything should be fine. But then he keeps on contesting for the space that he didn't need to contest for. Then he tries to run in some Ravagers and stuff like that, just getting over eager. What we were talking about Clem does sometimes against this sort of style is actually what Elazer ends up doing there. If he just consolidates his army and I think waits until he has enough to actually just crash the attack and only defends his hatchery, I think he can hold the triangle base. And then we have a much better shot at continuing in a good position for the game.
No, it's some very good points that you bring up. This is, unfortunately, though, the other side of it all right now, where Elazer, well, he's got a big Roach Ravager attack, and Clem's out of position, so he might do some more damage here. And that's nice, because it's not like Clem was out of position, ready to deal damage somewhere else himself. As Clem stims in here, this is where Elazer does need to start backing away pretty much immediately, though, especially as tanks get sieged. It's just not a fight you really want to stick around in, so... Again, Elazer just needs to be careful about that, but that's obviously frustrating. This is not how you want to be playing it. Oh my goodness, these... I mean... They just go. They just don't want to stop. They're just going to keep on moving through. He's going to bring another medevac in for healing, and Clem is still fighting this. Wow, I'm not going to lie. This is not a fight I look at and say, oh yeah, you're going to be able to clean this out at all. Yeah. And Clem just chases it down so far, and it goes perfectly for him.
Yeah, that's actually incredible. I thought he was not going to be able to do it, but I guess with that many medevacs towards the end, the engagement does get skewed in his favor. And now when he gets this kind of available, he just camps those Ravagers that burrowed and will kill them. Now Clem with a supply lead against the Roach style. Wordy, it's looking like the Terran will get his first win here.
Yeah, it really does, man. It's also crazy that he just had like an extra medevac that showed up, and he's just like, yeah, this little bit of extra healing really will help. And it probably really did. No, that was that was honestly a really cool call from Clem, just to say, yeah, I can fight this. As we got tanks left behind, those Roaches. I mean, credit to them, they did what they could in terms of trying to split, trying to give Elazer a chance. But yeah, I mean, this game really was decided somewhat early, Cats. You know, that early damage done really went a long way, and that's not damage you're meant to recover from as Elazer. And especially when you're playing someone as good as Clem, he knows exactly what to do to keep those advantages, to keep the game rolling in his favor, and he really did make the most of all of those drone kills.
Yeah, and what hurts me a little bit on the side of Elazer is that, again, he's not a very Roach-focused type player, and he's revealed his hand. He was talking about his preparation and how he has looked towards this series, and now he's revealed his hand in a game where he had to make a comeback. And to his credit, he almost made that comeback. And if he could have turned it around with those Rambais, with the Roach Burrow, fantastic. But now you've told Clem, hey, I'm capable of going Roaches. I'm capable of getting Burrow. Be on the lookout for that tunneling clause. Right, and that's just gonna further complicate things for him because he's revealed part of his hand and not been able to make the comeback that he was hoping. I was almost hoping that he would just save this style if he was gonna use it for a game where he was actually even going into the mid game or something like that.
Yeah, right. It's like he obviously had it on paper, like, hey, I'm gonna do this build, but then he takes that drone damage, and maybe it's like, well, you know what? Let me just hold back. But I mean, there is scenarios, right? Sometimes when Clem, like you say, gets over aggressive in that roach attack, maybe still works when Clem says, well, I've killed so many drones, let's just fight, 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 and then one step too far, roach is overwhelmed. Obviously, that was not this at all. When the roaches finally got to attack, I mean, like I say, usually you have to pull SCVs to survive, and Clem's like, yeah, I'll just stim into you. This is fine. We'll just trade. and it wasn't even close, right? It's not like his army was close to being wiped out or anything. So it really goes to show the damage done early in the game and the position that Clem had gotten into. As we are on Lightshade for map number 2. So another of the smaller maps here. And we'll see just what we have in store for us. We'll see if there's more roaches planned or if Elazer is going to get some Ling Bane on the roll. It's time to check out map 2 of this best of 5. Starting in the top left-hand corner with the blue Zerg player, Elazer.
And in the bottom right-hand side in the red, it is Clem. This is a bit of a Sergier map, in spite of being a little bit shorter, which gives me a little bit of chills when it comes to, Clem's Reaper just arriving that much earlier on the other side and whatnot. It's still a very wide open map, and that favors styles like roaches oftentimes. And it is a shorter map, which is also good for roaches when it comes to that. So, yeah, I mean, I almost would have liked to see the last strategy that we saw employed in the last map on this map, and I think that might have worked out better. But since he has already revealed his hand, Elazer that is, I'm not sure that we will see roaches.
Yeah, the one good thing about this map is you have a little bit more kind of leeway in terms of which bases you take as well. So if you play Ling Bane and you say you get pushed on your 4th base, right, you can re-expand the other side much more easily than an Ox side, which, you can kind of do. We saw it, right, when he was losing the right side, he took the top side instead, but it's limited compared to on Lightshade. You really can go top 2 bases, bottom 2 bases, bottom 2 bases are the top 2 bases, and whatever you need to react to the game. So if Elazer wants to play like a longer Ling Bane game, maybe into Lurker's later game or something, this might be a reasonable map to try that on.
Yeah, it's he definitely has options. It's definitely a Sergier map. I imagine this was his pick, and that the last map was definitely Clem's pick to start. So
yeah,
we'll see what Elazer can bring here. This should be his map to take if there's going to be a map that he takes. So let's hope that he does. I'm hoping for a close series here, but it is a titan that he's going up against in the small man that Clem is.
How do you fit so much TVZ inside this this guy, right? Like, no, it's rough, and I feel like once Clem has the map advantage as well, something I think everybody says about Clem is that he's a momentum-based player, right? And if he plays a good game, he gets a lead, and he gets off to a 1-0 start in a series, he is going to be even scarier in the rest of his games, because then he starts believing in himself, and then he starts, doing things which he might not usually try to do, and he makes them work. And that's Clem when he starts to feel kind of unbeatable, right? So,
yeah,
always a little bit worried when the Zerg can't get the first map on the board, but I guess, again, the nice part of it was that was Clem's map pick, and this is now Elazer's map pick. So, somewhat of a clean slate as the Reaper playing with death, but gets out alive.
Yeah, lucky for that Reaper. Actually, if there was a link to his left when he jumped up, it gets surrounded. I think it takes a little bit longer to run away. It takes a little bit more damage from the full surround and maybe falls. So good on Elazer for doing that. This Reaper not nearly as successful as the last.
Yeah, no, it's in comparison to the last Reaper, this Reaper's been useless. Why even make it? Obviously just picking up a bit of information out the front, but not getting multiple link kills. And I don't think it's going to have the chance to get that creep tumor either, as it's gone diving by, but nothing too substantial. As, yeah, we just kind of get ourselves into that starport again. This time it's off the back of a 3cc though, so it's a faster third than the starport. And I think that's one thing Clem will look to do a little bit better this time. The one thing that really wasn't great about his early game last time around was he did just kind of give his Liberator up way more easily than you would have usually expected him to.
Yeah, most definitely. This time around he's going for the Banshees. It's a little bit more of a harassment tool. He's not getting cloaks so far, so it might just be one safety Banshee in case Elazer goes for a very early roach attack. There's the cloak actually, so maybe we'll see a couple of Banshees being made after all. And yeah, this is just kind of one of the strongest defensive tools that you can get while still being greedy. And the Elazer will poke at the front, but Clem has been pretty conservative with the location of his third command center. So it would be hard to spot with Overlords since there is a Marine patrolling, or with a Link poking up the ramp. So we see that pay off.
Yeah, we do, as our Hallion's just going to poke onto the couple of queens here. Love the activity on the map from Clem, of course, just trying, if at all possible, to maybe slow down Creep a little bit. He's not been getting too fortunate here or there just yet, but again, the more you stick around, the more chance that maybe will be. As, yeah, just we'll see what these Banshees can get done, of course. I mean, Elazer has great spread, so he's going to be able to immediately see this Banshee showing up on the other side. So he will be able to start reacting early. Just see what his reaction is going to be. And I mean, the thing is, you can still know Banshees are coming and take so much damage to them, right? So you do have to be on top of that defense.
Yeah. And Clem, funnily enough, with the Banshee, does the thing again where he knows that he's spotted by the Overlord that's right next to the Banshee right now. So instead of going to the main, he circumvents the Overlord to try and go back at a weird angle at the third, but then gets spotted by another Overlord. So then just goes back here. And yeah, I mean, this Banshee is just going to chill next to the Overlord at this point. Maybe until the sister Banshee arrives and he can start trying to get some one shot on the drones.
Really gotta say, like, credit to the Overlords, right? It is saving a Elazer a lot right now, because now the Banshee's just gonna cloak up, so they're committed to trying to get somewhere. I mean, there's an Overseer on the way, but not here just yet. The Hellions can adventure through in the first round of Lings, taking a bad shot from the Hellions, meaning that they are not going to be in good numbers. A lot of Lings going down, and Clem, he will end up just backing away, but probably happy with the amount of Lings he got rid of here, if nothing else.
Yeah, but nothing else either, right? Like, and this has been kind of a quiet early game for Clem comparatively, at least. This is still investment in terms of the Banshees, the Hellions. The Hellions haven't been able to deny even that much creep. Elazer has done a very good job so far in this game. Yeah, he's lost a little bit of Lings, and now losing a few drones, more than maybe he wanted to. 4 very quickly go down. But yeah, I was ready to start praising his early game. Now, it's getting a little bit more difficult as he starts taking a little bit more damage. But all in all, we are entering Elazer's comfort zone. We are kind of having an Elazer that is getting to execute his plans. And that is when he is at his strongest.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to keep the Banshees from doing anything at all, but it always feels unfortunate when you do get that one opening, they do get some workers, especially now these Banshees are out alive. They can be repaired, come back, and you never know when they just find a base without a spore late game or something. They can still be annoying. They've already paid for themselves early game. And the fact they can still be a tool later in this game. Frustrating as we do see these Marines unloading. The Banshees going all the way back, going to clean up a Zerglin as they head home. And yeah, first Marine stim of the game, probably going to come up and clean some creep on the top side of the map. Really wants to put some space in between the two bases up here, so you can really hit that top base nice and easily, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And this is where Clem is looking to take advantage of the Lings that he killed earlier. But Elazer's more than ready here. Clem picks off a couple Banelings before loading back up into his medevacs. But yeah, like you said, that was a creep clearing expedition, and he has done that successfully. So now Clem looking to maybe mitigate the creep elsewhere. Elazer getting burrow as well. So these scans that Clem is using to clear creep could bite him back, as Elazer is going to have Baneling bombs potentially. He already has a Ling in each potential 4th base of Clem ready to burrow as soon as burrow is ready. So huge props to Elazer. He's doing really cool moves here.
Yeah, I like it. Elazer definitely trying to get a bit fancy, and he is going for that Hydrogen infestation pit behind this too. So looking towards the lurkers as the game progresses. And we all know that lurkers can absolutely be that kind of king of the late game for the Zerg nowadays. So we'll see if he can get there comfortably. There's a lot of time before he gets there still, and that's time in which Clem typically will be able to find some timings, although some of those will be cut short simply for the fact that he doesn't have 1-1 yet, and I can't imagine he'll want to try and take a larger fight down on upgrades.
Yeah, Clem situating himself in one of the more annoying positions on this map. As far as tanks are concerned, that ledge is going to be extremely annoying to deal with, to dislodge. The rocks have not been broken is one of the very few things. Oh, very good Baneling connections actually to start. The Queen's actually also helping out here against the medevacs. And that's not too bad of a start for Elazer. A lot of the bio already going down for Clem.
Yeah, I love the connections there. Elazer getting some good starts to this fight. Now Clem is moments away from his own 1-1. Tied the upgrades, no 2-2 from Elazer. He's been on 1-1 for a long time, so losing an upgrade advantage which is a shame as Clem just pulls back. He lets the tanks do the work on the Banelings as the Marines just split backwards as well. Target firing some more of the Banes, finally lifting up. It's hard to say that Clem didn't take a good fight there. As on the bottom side, Lings get turned around by a few reinforcements of Clem too, so he's going to make sure he doesn't get counterattacked as well. Credit to Clem. I mean, it feels as though he traded very well after taking an initial fight that wasn't as good.
Yeah, at the same time, Elazer did the best that he could. I think just splitting his Lings going up that ramp, kind of like half and half, like 10 to each side to clear the tanks while still chasing the bio with a significant number. I mean, the Pole is playing a very, very good game too here. So, I mean, both players kind of Clem as you expect, but Elazer really keeping up is what impresses me.
Yep. No, absolutely. Elazer is seemingly on the right track. I mean, like I say, he's on his way to that hive. So it's closing in on the time where he gets into a completely different phase of the game, right? The moment that Lurkers take to this game, that's the moment where Elazer can just play so much more comfortably because he doesn't have to deal with the pressure of Clem as much. Clem is playing a lot of Widow Mines right now as well. Be interesting to see what he does with Widow Mine production when he notices the Lurkers are coming through, because they're typically not as useful at that stage. It's still nice against Ling Bane, but typically you'd like to have tanks, as these first few mines don't do all that much. A few better connections, a few worse. But yeah, typically you'd like to have the tanks to stop the Lurkers from being able to just run in on top of you and siege up.
Yeah, I really love where Elazer's at all in all. Like, I mean, the mines are coming out as the Hydras are coming out. That's a good matchup stylistically for Elazer. Elazer did a wonderful job as well while having the lower tier army of Ling Bane against the first initial bunch of mines in the middle of the map there. He really didn't take too many losses. He spread and split like one single Ling to tank the first mine, one Overseer tanked one of the mines. Like, the best mine connection was something like 4 or 6 Lings there. So things are looking good for Elazer here. He has very good map control. Lings and Banelings burrowed all over the place. Overlords are providing good vision. I'm really loving everything that we're seeing here from him.
Yeah, that Lurker Den is still going through. I thought the Lurker Den was actually already built, if I'm going to be honest, because we saw that hive such a long time ago, but not the case. As these Hydras here do just need to be a little bit careful, as these Marines will back it up. And a few Hydras that trail behind will go down as well. Clem does lose track of the drop on the top side. Only one Marine escapes out of there alive. And that's obviously not very Clem-like. Usually he's keeping everything alive in those scenarios. So just kind of get caught up in a game that is action-packed, right? There are a lot of like smaller fights going on. Clem's still trying to make progress around the bottom left side of the map as well. Though not too much avail just yet.
Yeah, when those Hydras are actually pushing up that ramp, I feel like Elazer could have actually targeted the medevacs. Clearly, he was looking there because he was, stutter stepping forward. So with the medevacs as exposed as they were, they could have almost gotten one-shotted by those Hydras, while the Banelings that were behind the Hydras would have continued to push the bio away. So I think that might have been the better way to take that engagement. But I mean, I'm being nitpicky at this point. Again, Elazer doing a wonderful job. He has to keep his creep strike going, I was going to say. And the Queen's here to do exactly that. I mean, every step that he takes, really, he's taking steps with purpose. He's not just moving around mindlessly. He's moving around. He's bringing the Queens where he takes space. He will gain and reclaim that space with a creep for himself. He will burrow units. He's doing fantastic. Clem, though, with the Ghost transition, he can be really scary in this stage as well.
Yeah, with the Ghost count getting up there, you've got to be kind of afraid, because Clem is also very good at this stage of the game, as we do see a bit of bio moving to the upper right. Nidus on the way from Elazer, which I love. A good Nidus can absolutely be a game changer as well. If you get some Lurkers in the main, is they're really going to have a big fight breaking out on this top side. Looks like Elazer's just happy to try and bust down the Planetary with a few Banes. Okay, he's mostly going for the SCVs. The Planetary isn't actually going to be close to going down. I mean, now Clem can actually chase through for a little bit of cleanup as well. And he's killed a few drones with the Widow Mine drop once again on the other side, as he is still trying to take more expansions up on the right. Elazer is still yet to take the bottom 2 expansions. That's something he will be needing to do in this game if it continues in this sort of direction.
Yeah, Elazer has a lot of Hydras here as well. And it's unfortunate that he committed as much as he did for that Planetary Fortress, because like you were saying, he decides to go for the SCVs, but there weren't many SCVs at that point. The Ghosts already with very good snipes onto a lot of these Hydras, but some of those Ghosts at the front won't get to connect actually, as the Lings are here. And with the Planetary Fortress not really finished here, I think Elazer will be able to get a base kill while the Lings are kind of... Oh, I'm surprised he doesn't commit for that, actually.
Yeah, CC gets to live. Maybe he just doesn't feel like it's worth it if there's another CC, like, super close anyway, which is very possible that there is. So I can somewhat understand it, as we do see the Link Bane now going to go for the other planetary over here. Well, this one might go down. The Bane's make an effort of getting the SCVs initially, and a lot of SCVs do fall. Clem obviously still has a lot of units here, and obviously Elazer lost a lot of his units initially taking down the planetary, so sticking around hasn't been amazing for Elazer. He ends up being pushed away. We will have both players needing to rebuild back up to being maxed out.
Yeah, but Elazer with the bigger bank, I mean, he's going to be kind of happy, especially after taking some of the potential of his opponent for that economy, for that mining. 2 CCs have to get cancelled there, and one planetary fortress is outright killed. So Elazer definitely getting the better of that if he can not take too much damage here on the counter offense. Lurkers will be available very soon. The ghost energy is very low, and the ghost count is not plentiful, at least not here at the front. So Elazer is going to push on forward, and he might be able to make something happen here, as there's only 1 tank sieged. I feel like maybe he could have sieged the Lurkers even a little bit further in the front. He's going to reposition down to try to do that, and hopefully he reinforces with something like Lynx. It's Hydra's in production, which I'm not a huge fan of, Wordy, just because of how long they're going to take to actually reinforce this location.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though, right? Because I feel like Clem used like all of his snipes on Hydras initially, and now he doesn't have too many left for Lurkers. He lines up a couple here and does get another one. These Lurkers just, like you say, there's not really any reinforcements showing up quickly. There's the Nidus into the main base, and Clem is not ready for this at all and doesn't respond to it in the slightest yet.
Yeah, and Elazer is playing a very high-paced game here. More ghosts are going to show up. This Lynx actually focus fire the CC, but not focus fire in the SCV building of the CC first. This is going to mean that the CC is going to gain HP as well as it continues to survive. The Nidus will get taken care of somehow. Clem has the presence of mind and the units available to do that, and a lot of these ghosts are getting taken down, or a lot of these lurkers are getting taken down as the ghost count continues to grow.
That's impressive considering this continuous trade out in the upper right-hand side of the map.
Wow.
Lurkers do hit the bottom side though. The couple shots from far away actually doing okay to soften them up slightly, but you're going to need a few more ghosts down here to really put an end to this. So that is what starts to happen as our Bioforce presses through. A few ghosts trying to snipe down some Bane lanes again, and that Bioforce does end up pulling back.
Yeah, and I love that Clem kind of takes this opportunity knowing that he's losing ground in the south here to try and take more ground in the north to push that army back. So very well done for him. Elazer at the same time is going to say, okay, I'm leaving there. There's no point there, but I see how much you have in the south here. So he's actually going to collapse, bringing his army from the north to the south. I feel like I've said north and south way too many times now, but yeah, I mean, he's going to gain that position, so that's great for him.
Difficult not to when there's so much happening in different places on the map, as we do have Clem continuing to push through the top side. These ghosts, I mean, they're going to just line up snipes on anything they can reach right now. As starting to run away as a few banelings show up, and yeah, at some point you're just going to have to split and actually start dealing some damage, which Clem does pretty well, to be fair. Lines up another sniper, so just trying to get these ghosts out alive, which he does. Still a few lurkers here and there. The Elazer continues to trail in supply, and as he loses a few more units to extra ghosts showing up, it feels like Clem really is starting to stabilize a bit in this game. The supplies could be a bit better off for Clem if he was just to spend a little bit more of the money he already has.
Yeah, all to the credit of these ghosts. I mean, they have been incredible. Every time I look at this group of ghosts, none of them have any energy, right? And it's not that they just spawned worthy. It's that they've been sniping like crazy.
Yeah, the amount of snipes being used is actually ridiculous. It's, oh my goodness. So the battle report has been going on for like basically forever, right? Because it's just been non-stop. 199 snipes used. Since the last time, we had like 10 seconds without a unit being killed or so.
I would almost wager that has to be a record in competitive play at this stage, like 18 minutes in. That is so many snipes. I mean, he's just been so efficient with his ghosts, and it doesn't feel like Elazer has ever gotten to really wrap around and punish a large number of ghosts at any point through this game.
Yeah, usually one of the big things against ghosts is if you get too many of them, then you actually just slow down on like the lurker production. You just go like a bit more Ling Bane, and you kind of like, yeah, you just jump on them, right? But that's just not happened at all. Clem's always been getting them out alive. Maybe he loses one or two, but like you say, there's never been that wraparound. There's never been that substantial loss of ghosts throughout this game. That's been a major help for Clem.
Yeah, most definitely. It's really helped them to trade extremely cost efficiently. Another Nidus. This one will most likely go up. I don't see anything moving in this direction. Lurkers will siege the production. This could be huge. They burrow right away, anticipating that Clem could be nearby, though. I feel like he could have actually gone further up, sieged the ramp, and then this would have been near impossible for Clem to really dislodge effectively. Like, he would have had to kind of leapfrog with the tanks very slowly up that ramp. Instead, It's all the ghosts here, so that's gonna get a little bit dangerous for Elazer. That's a lot of lurkers, but they're not really sieging anything anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing for them to get done, so now Clem's just going to clean out this Nidus. Probably worth leaving a couple units or something down there to make sure it doesn't happen again. Elazer's going to strike elsewhere at the same time, though. Just trying to make the most of this situation, trying to believe that the multi-prong can continue to go well for him. As Link Bane continues down, the lurkers continue to spawn, and all of these units just going to keep on moving towards this right-hand side. Lurkers are burrowing up, the ghosts are being chased back, but I think overall Clem's going to find a chance to just turn on this army in a moment. There's only a couple of Banes left, and now he's scanning, looking to set up those snipes, and the lurkers are dropping down dead. And again, Elazer is coming out with a troubling amount of supply left.
Yeah, this is looking really grim for the Pole now. I mean, he's played a very, very good game, but Clem has played amazing. Those Banelings, they're not going to kill any ghosts. Ghosts are very resilient against Banelings. They have a lot more HP than you would think. They're not really going to take any extra damage from them either. So, I mean, the Nidus location I like, and I like that Elazer has a Nidus and a Burrow circling there, so he's actually going to delay the base of Clem, but to no avail. Clem is just a little bit too good. He will take game number 2. Wow.
It's rough. I mean, it's this is what happens when you play against Clem, right? It's really, really difficult. There was moments that looked really good for Elazer. There was, it felt like Clem stalled out. It felt like he wasn't able to get a lot of the fast-paced damage going. He wasn't able to trade out a lot mid-game. But then actually, it didn't matter because he's so good at that ghost stage as well. And his transition was good. He was really careful with the ghosts. He had them in good places. Like you say, he never got them surrounded. I think that's critical because so often you see Terrans get up to a bunch of ghosts, and then you see a bunch go down in a big fight, Banes crash in. That never happened, and so Elazer was never really able to slow Clem down, and that's when Clem really felt like he stepped it up, and he was able to take just multiple good trades back to back, and eventually Elazer just kind of gets outmined.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing for me is a lot of the time when we talk about Clem, we talk about how fast-paced he can be in that mid-game, how he will outpace everyone or anyone, and Elazer keeps up. In this game, he does great. He pushes through the mid-game, he gains map control, he has his burrow, he did everything that he could up until the point where ghosts come out. And then we have to be talking about one of the best late game play or entering the late game or the best transitional play from Clem that I have seen in a very long time in this matchup. I mean, those ghosts were just putting in so much work and just to, what a scary player that is to go up against when he is maybe the best at being aggressive in the early and mid game. And then you're entering the late game and he just looks that good.
Yeah, I don't know what you do as Elazer now. You're going into 2,000 atmospheres. Maybe you turn it back to roaches. Like, if you get, like, a good early game, I would be tending to say, you know what, this is a big map, but let's try and hit him with roaches, hit him hard. Make sure your early game is solid, because you can't do this. You can't break Clem if you're down 10, 15 workers from where you're meant to be, and you've had to replace them. You can't. It just doesn't work. So, get a good early game under your belt. I'd say probably play roaches and go from there because it doesn't feel like the Ling Bane game has much in store. But I mean, roaches is just like a short-term plan. You can't just roach every single game that's left in this series. He's got to win 3 in a row, basically. I don't know how Elazer does that at all.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it is that Ghost versus Lurker stage where he really started faltering. So I'm not sure if maybe he can just try to stay in the mid game for longer and just try to overwhelm, kill the bases or something like that, because he did play toe-to-toe with Clem heading into the mid game. So I don't know. I really don't think Hydras are particularly good, but maybe Link Bane Muta or even just Link Bane for longer with the Hydra support and try to just trade over and over and over and hope that that's enough. But yeah, I mean, there's no easy way to beat Clem, that's for sure. In the top right-hand side for Team Liquid, it is this beast of a man. It's Clem.
Taking on in the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player, Elazer.
And Wardy, if his opponent was almost anyone else, I think we'd be singing Elazer's praises right now for how well he handled that game. But it's crazy to think, like, I want to say, like, Elazer, you played so well in a game where he lost.
Yeah. No, I mean, and the thing is, this happens a lot to the players when they play against, like, Serral or, like, a Reyna or Clem. And yeah, there's the fair share of games which are like, okay, they just made you look silly. But oftentimes you have, like, these games where, like, people play their hearts out, they look really good. But because it's Reyna or Serral or Clem, it's like, well, you guys played great. And any other time, this would have been good enough, apart from against these three.
Yeah.
Because they can still just withstand it and make it work. Clem seems in the zone, honestly. He seems to be playing very solid, and I've already kind of lost all of the worries / concerns I had when I was talking pre-show about, like, he's looked a bit shaky this matchup more recently. Nah, all of that's out the window right now. This is a Clem that is absolutely here to win this tournament.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, yeah, maybe the Roaches have a shot. I am still not super convinced against Roaches. Obviously, the game that we did see Elazer go Roaches, he was playing from behind, and Clem had good reactions. He had a very deep tank line and like a lot of the things that I want to see. But yeah, maybe there's something there. I don't know, Wardy. I am really grasping for straws here because I want Elazer to come back in the series. I want for this to not be a 3-0, but everything points towards it being so.
Yeah, I'd love Elazer to take a map just to help my prediction game out a little bit. The one thing that does give me a bit of confidence, of course, is, hey, look, Elazer, I'm sure, didn't just plan like one strategy, right? I'm sure he had a series plan. He probably knew he's not going to win in 3 maps, right? So he's probably had a plan for every map, more or less. And so I've got a bit of hope that maybe he still has something in the back ready to bring out here on T12.
Yeah, very cool move. I mean, he blocked that exit. If he could have actually used the drone to block the other mineral path, he might have killed the Reaper there. But yeah, I mean, the Evo Chamber costs as much as a Spore, and the Spore is easier to build because you need less surface area. So very clearly, Elazer putting the thought forward that he might be able to trap the Reaper with that Evo Chamber. So cool move.
Yep, cool little attempt as Clem is going to grenade his way out of trouble, and he is just going to sneak that Reaper out alive. So it will stick around. It's important to keep your Reaper alive because you need to know if there's any sort of real aggression coming your way super early in the game. Say there was going to be something like a big Roach Rush super early game. This is the exact kind of thing the Reaper's meant to pick up on.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's see what this Reaper is able to do. I mean, he's not really getting too much for his troubles at this point in time. Elazer will have a fairly quick link speed here as well. So this Reaper could be in trouble should he overstay. And yeah, things will progress as normal. The starport is now done, so curious to see what's going to happen there. It's going to be a tech lab that it swaps onto once again, so we might see Banshees yet again.
Yeah, the other thing that Clem's done sometimes on this map is he's played Raven.
Really?
And he plays like Raven and 10 Hellions. Yeah, he's been doing it for a couple seasons. He doesn't do it every time, but there is the Raven this time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because what you'll see Clem do here is he doesn't just use the Raven as a way to clean creep up, which is the obvious thing, right? But he actually uses it to harass the queens a little bit. So the auto turrets help to turn the fights a little bit in his favor when it's like usually Hellion versus queen, you have to back away. With an auto turret tanking and dealing some extra damage, you can actually do a little bit better against those queens, and you can really kind of bully the Zerg a lot more than usual. So expect to see that, and like I say, usually he goes up to 10 Hellions with this, so it's just a little bit more than usual. Obviously, that's a bit more investment, but you're really looking to do damage with the Hellions, so it's okay to invest that little extra.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's so very cool, because if you auto turret, a lot of the time the strategy is just to disengage, right? Early on, especially, the auto turret is going to be so strong, but Hellions in turn are one of the fastest units. So if you have 10 Hellions, if you have that damage output, disengaging will still tax you on the retreat from that much firepower from the Hellions. So very cool. Let's see what he's able to do here. Clem is going to poke forward. He's going to start working on those queens. And if they get backed up against a corner, that could be bad as well. I'm not sure that the auto turret needed to be that far back, but it's going to work out okay. Elazer does pick off the Raven. Actually, a great pickup for him. And now with the Ling reinforcements here, only 4 drones go down. And I mean, I say only because the Raven is the big piece being lost.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense that Raven sticks around. It's put its auto turret down, right? It's done its business.
Yeah.
Why is it still around? Why is it still trying to be a thing? So yeah, that's a massive snipe, because that is the opening of Clem. A big part of it really just denied right now. And okay, he's still got a good Hellion count, but don't forget that he's invested more than usual to be able to get this, get to this kind of Hellion count. Yeah. So yeah, that's something. And now we see a Roach run going down. Now I don't hate Roaches, right, as well, because this really is an opening which has been a bit better for you. And a lot of Clem's follow-up here will be later than usual because you've gone for a Raven that didn't do much and extra Hellions, and they don't help against Roaches either.
Yeah, again, Elazer quick on the reactions, both to pull away those drones and to make the Evo Chamber. things are looking pretty decent. There is going to be upgrades for those roaches that you were talking about, so he's going to be committing on that front. And I really like this. I mean, even the positioning on the third, on the triangle third for Clem is going to be a lot harder to defend, I think, by tanks than we saw on Oxide, right? Where there are high grounds nearby. Obviously, there is the high ground from the main base, but that's a little bit further away. So so there's going to be room for Elazer to try and do something here. I am liking his position better than I have liked it even throughout the series. So, Wardy, let's get our hopes up. Let's raise our Elazers.
Raise the Elazers. Let's do it. Yeah, no, I feel like it's hopeful. I mean, if nothing else, if the tanks want to sit on a high ground, you can probably still get in range to hit the base, right? To like hit the bottom side of the orbital. So yeah, I kind of feel like there's definitely some good hope here from Elazer. We'll see how well this roach attack does as Clem. He is already on his way to his second factory. Obviously, still building tanks is good, but he's going to get Lings in on top of tanks. That's huge, because if you can kill off siege tanks, it is going to make the roach attack that much scary. And SCVs are dying to friendly fire.
Yeah, six go down. Clem cleverly kind of unsieges the tank there towards the end to make sure that no more SCVs go down. But that was a beautiful move from Elazer. That wasn't some YOLO run by. And good on Niall, our observer, to catch it. But Elazer actually scouted where the tank was with one single circling moments before going in with the rest. And then goes in with the rest, picks up one tank, picks off 6 SCVs, setting him up for a wonderful roach attack here. Elazer really playing out of his mind today.
Yeah, he's definitely having some good moments in these games as we do see Ravagers morphing in. We're getting ready for this big attack. 1-1's just finished up. Clem is building bunkers. He's got Hellions morphing in to help SC2 to help. Looks like Elazer wants to go up the high ground and play from there, which I don't mind, because look at where all the defenses of Clem are. They're all built around the third base, so fighting up on this high ground towards the natural, that might be the opening that you need to punish here as Elazer is in we go. A lot of the tanks not in range right away, and Clem runs back to get in range of those tanks. The only thing I'd love to see from Elazer would be some high ground fishing, because if you could snipe that that siege tank with an overlord, allowing Ravager piles up there, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the roach buffer gone here, the queens are gonna arrive, but I mean, those Ravagers are kind of exposed. So Clem has done a pretty good job of withholding here for the time being. I am completely with you. If there was an overlord nearby, that would have been ideal from Elazer, especially if he's choosing to pursue this angle. But good on Clem to I mean, have the presence of mind to siege that tank, to identify that this is an area that is vulnerable for him as well.
Yeah, that's nicely done. Is just going to be seeing Elazer is kind of going burrow into link claws again. That's the one thing that still surprises me, because I felt like last time that was like a, oh no, I'm in trouble sort of move. This time it's oh, I feel like this went okay for me, and I'm still going to do it again, rather than like going into 2-2 upgrades or something, which I feel like might have been a little bit better overall. Anyways, so we will see how it continues as Roach Ravager trying to find openings, getting a couple depots on this bottom side. We lose a Ravager. Clem's Marines just instantly stimming to make the most of that, and that's obviously a nice little pick-off.
Yeah, and I do love what Elazer is doing with the tunneling claws in the sense that he is showing his army here and then going with the tunneling claws on the other side, and he's showing a sizable army on this front. So there's no reason for Clem to actually expect it. And this time he's gonna use the tunneling claws aggressively to close the gap onto some of those siege tanks. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't really get all of them. And on the other side, he's not able to capitalize with the corrosive bows either. So still 4 siege tanks remaining, tunneling claws revealed. And Elazer not finding what he was looking for potentially here, so he is a little bit running out of steam. And now Clem on the other side of the map will force Elazer to stay back with his reinforcements, if not pull back some of his army to deal with it.
I feel like that was actually a cool move that just wasn't executed in quite the right way at the end. Because that really could have, I mean, if you jump up with enough roaches to kill off those siege tanks there, and then you just have Roach Ravager collapsing on both sides of those Marines, well, that's a great fight. As, oh no, Roaches kind of move commanding for a while. The tank gets siege. I mean, we're going to kill off a couple of tanks at least here. The last one just doesn't go down. That Roach is going to be killed. It just feels like Elazer's running out of steam now, and Clem's on 2-2. That's something Elazer delayed to be able to get this tunneling claws and the burrow up. Yeah, this is, it was a nice attempt from Elazer, just a couple of fights not quite going his way, and it seems like Clem is well on his way to victory.
Yeah, I mean, that last tunneling claw attempt at an attack just reeks of desperation, right? Like, you know your opponent, you know you've already revealed it, so your opponent has to have a turret unless he, you know, he's just not paying attention to the game. So just hoping that he can get something. Does get 2 tanks for his troubles, which is about as good as he could have hoped for. But Elazer, like you said, running out of steam. Clem already confident enough to be on the other side of the map with 2 medevacs full. A small squadron of units also threatening the 4th base of Elazer on the right-hand side of things. And Elazer trying to do what he can, but Clem very diligent to have a PF waiting and just bio everywhere. Love the sensor towers as well.
Yep, it's just super safe, right? He's just making sure there's no openings. And again, with the fact that Elazer's kind of stuck on Roach Ravager now for so long, it just feels rough. I mean, yes, you've got that lurker transition coming through. It's almost ready to go, but I don't really have a lot of hope for it just because it feels like Elazer's losing so much on the build-up. I mean, that's obviously a horrible fight once again. There's a ton of roaches going down. There's a couple of infestors out. Maybe they can help to create something somewhere, but I don't want to get my hopes up right now because I don't think it's looking good at all for Elazer.
Not at all. I mean, it's a 5,000 resources lost difference there. He really needed to do a little bit better while pierce through with the first attack. That was looking so good. I mean, he hit at a good timing. He was diligent enough to break both rocks on the way there. Just unfortunate he didn't have that high ground vision, and maybe he wasn't as decisive as he could have been in trying to gun down those tanks as early as possible. So, yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, Clem has just played a fantastic game. Like his bio, kiting back to the tanks and just preserving that bio instead of just using it at the front when that first attack hits all the time, like just kiting back and leveraging his tank fire as best as he could. Really, he has played a magnificent game here, and yeah. Oh, very nice.
Triple kill on the medevacs, double from the bars, 1 from the fungal. That was actually pretty neat, as obviously lurkers are coming through. The problem is when you play Roach Ravager lurker, the tank count is already high. So the Terran already has like a natural defense against the lurkers, as that scan kind of caught the tail end of those roaches moving through. As now those roaches are going to come in from the other side, so making a bit of a flank out of this. I mean, Clem will hard dive to the upper right where those roaches just ran to, and he's going to turn around and he will fight off this army in the bottom left as well. Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, just convincing stuff from Clem throughout. He's played a really good series here, and yeah, he definitely comes in and says, hey, look, if it is Cyril next round for me, I'm ready for him.
That's really a statement, isn't it? I mean, this is looking like Clem just has everything under control now. The ghosts that were so annoying in that previous game are here as well. So Elazer, I mean, he is going from bad to worse. I commend him for trying to make the transition and for effectively getting to lurkers, getting those infestors, giving himself some sort of a chance with those fungals and corrosive piles, but it is just too little too late. I mean, the early game just did not go in his favor at all. He's trying to find whatever angle he can, but there's planetary fortresses everywhere. There's a turret ready to go, and he's gonna gun it down, maybe hoping that Burba instantly gets remade. So yeah, I don't know, Wardy. I don't know what Elazer could possibly do to bring this back. I've doubted him before. He's proven me wrong before. But yeah, I don't know that he can do it against Clem.
No. Not a Clem who's playing like this. Like right now, the supplies are not like terrible for Elazer, but it's also 5 base against 5 base. It's 3-3 against 2-2 4-bit. You know, it's lurkers that are still not really seeing the light of day. They're barely even getting involved in fights because Clem's just not letting them be. It's rough, and okay, Elazer can actually do okay defensively a little bit until these ghosts start sniping. They actually do very well clean out some queens. I'll drop a couple more snipes again, so Clem definitely loving that snipe button today. Yeah, I mean, again, what are you really meant to do here in the long run as Elazer? Like, right now, he might be alive, but 5 minutes from now, if the game's in this current state, like 5 minutes from now, there's not going to be anything going your way.
Yeah, not anything. I mean, we have Clem with 83 workers, we have Clem with mules, we have Clem on equal basis, like you were saying, and we have a Clem that's already trading very cost efficiently. 6,000 last I checked, 7,000 resources ahead now in terms of units lost.
Nidus just came up though, so maybe with like a really good like Nidus into the main, you shut down production, you force Clem to run in, and it's like a really bad fight. You know, that's the sort of idea that could maybe do it for Elazer, and it's not likely. A lot of things in a row kind of have to go right. Like, not only does he have to get the Nidus up, but then Clem has to overcommit into dealing with it right as well. And you know, it's not simple. It's not, you know, it just doesn't really seem likely, but it's a possibility at least. And at least Elazer's going to try something. Nidus does go up. Roaches are counter-attacking, so we will see some damage. I mean,
oh my God,
eventually we're going to kill this tank, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I was hoping so.
here.
Yeah, so that's good. I mean, there's a lot of production to siege there for Elazer, and the Nidus does go up, like you said. I again would love to see a little bit more of a risk for those lurkers to move further up, try to siege the choke through which the units have to come back up into that base, just for the sake of, you know, like making it a little bit more difficult for Clem. If Clem's already in position, hey, you're losing anyway, you know, try something different, try something a little bit riskier. But this Nidus is paying off for itself. I mean, we were talking about, actually, it's still a 7,000 resource that's lost difference, so at least the Elazer has stopped the bleeding in some way. But at the same time, he lost a base for these travels, and now the lurkers were positioned a little bit further forward. I like that, but it's looking grim.
Yeah, I mean, I like this because this is absolutely one of the better ways you have of maybe actually winning this out. Is lurkers are going to be trying to get further forward. The EMP was good on those infestors, and then the lurkers just get sniped. Yeah, if you had like a fungal or so here, then maybe again you have a little bit more of a chance. But we can just see there's not enough really. Clem has a bit of money stacking up as he's lost some production. Supplies are still close-ish, like within 15, but it's always in favor of the Terran, right? Like it's always Clem who just has a little bit of extra edge. As well, these lurkers are still not being dealt with effectively, and now he's going to make a play from the high ground, get some tanks. Maybe if these lurkers can keep this up, maybe there is some hope, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the production is the big thing, right? Like, Clem's not really producing much of anything in terms of units right now. He's producing one tank and one ghost at a time. So if Elazer can manage to actually reset the army of Clem, he could not just have a chance, he could just outright win the game, like kind of all of a sudden, right? Because there isn't any units for Clem. Clem does have those ghosts, that is his lifeline. And actually, they're gonna walk into some lurker fire without scanning for a second. Their one will go down, but not much more than that. Now the lurkers are cornered, but unfortunately not enough units for Elazer to capitalize here. One lurker does move on forward and into this choke. The ghosts are wise to retreat there. And the Elazer still doing, I mean, everything that he can to try and make this game a close one, and he's kind of succeeding at that.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of ongoing, right? And I mean, you know, we kind of were singing Clem's praises saying the game's over, and honestly, even when Elazer takes a slight supply lead here, it kind of still feels like Clem's going to come out on top. But, you know, Elazer got the bottom right base up, so he's on 5 bases again. The production he's denied has been sizable. He's looking as though he might force another, you know, orbital command to lift off. These are all things which, you know, he actually just straight up kills it. I mean, these are all things which over time add up in Elazer. And I mean, now 40 SCVs have gone down. I mean, think about that. Clem's been rebuilding SCVs like crazy. He's still on 50, but Elazer is doing the little bits and pieces that he needs to give him a chance at least. That tank line is brutal once it gets the scan off. Jeez.
Some Polish magic here. I mean, some more supply depots are gonna go down. Both Ghost Academies just fall at the same time. So the last ghost that Clem can produce for a little bit at least. Oh no, there's another Ghost Academy actually at the third base. I don't know why. Don't ask me why there were 3. But I guess Clem just thinking ahead. These lurkers are wonderful though. That is very much gonna put a huge dent into the production of Clem and into the economy of Clem. And now with extra lurkers kind of in every way as well, with the CCs that have fallen. I mean, there's not even scans available for Clem. Worthy he might be doing it here.
Man, the SCV kill count on the left side feels like a permanent feature of the stream right now. Like, it is just not stopped, and he is actually doing it. He just got Clem a little bit too all over the place. You know what it all started with? That Nidus in the main. He shut down production, he threw Clem off. Clem wasn't able to spend money for a lot of time, and he used that time to actually pull it back. And Clem, you can see him kind of, you know, muttering to himself because he absolutely knows that this game was 100% going his way. But Elazer really played a better last 3, 4, 5 minutes, and like he was dead as well, right? Like he was in a tough position, he was behind heavily, he needed something like the Nidus to give him an edge, and even from then he needed so many things to happen, and they all happened, and Clem can't quite believe it as he has to leave the game, and Elazer is able to close it out, and he does pick up this victory in the end. He gets a point on the board, and we have actually got ourselves a series.
Yeah, I mean, that was wonderfully done by Elazer. Like I was talking about how he really needed to push those lurkers forward with coming out of the Nidus to siege the production, to siege that front of the base, right? Like the ramp. But he does more than that. I mean, Clem kind of overextends there, and Elazer is able to actually siege from the high ground onto the low ground of Clem, and ends up getting so much more than that, gets the CC without lifting off at the natural, and things just kind of spiral out of control, and Clem really never got his production set up again. So incredible from the poll. What a comeback. We're going to a quick break, and when we get back, the rest of this series. Welcome back. It is 2-1 in favor of Clem here, but Elazer, I mean, with two amazing 2 games in a row. The first one was looking like he was entering that mid game in a good way. The second one looking pretty grim going into the later stages, but actually one Nidus to stabilize him, one Nidus to save it all. And again, Wordy, as soon as I start doubting Elazer, he kind of turns up and kind of swaps everything around and just destroys his opponents. This is the Combat King indeed. In the bottom left-hand side of the map, it is the blue Zerg player for Ago, XCOM Ago. It is Elazer.
In the bottom right from Team Liquid, we've got the red Terran player, Clem. You know, it was really crazy as well because even when the Nidus was up in the main and the Lurkers were killing production, even then it didn't look good for Elazer, right? Like, even then it was like, okay, that's an annoyance for Clem and he's starting to deal with it, okay, a bit slowly. And okay, he's given up his main, but he just had so much else around the map going on that it just felt like he was still okay. I think that was what was really impressive. It's that one little thing that was still not even amazing, then the way that Elazer did everything else around it and just kept units in the main base, kept them active. It was all of that that allowed him to really just take that step back into the game and to actually win it out in the end. Just, yeah, Clem really falling apart for the last couple minutes. As now we have Blackburn from map 4, which is one which we do talk about roaches on a lot ever since that Mara Rogue final in GSLs a season ago. It's a lot of people are like, well, just roach on this map, but it ain't as simple as that usually.
Yeah, it's not. And I mean, in that finals, Maru did take the triangle third base, which I think a lot of Terrans have adapted to since, and just taking the vertical third base if they think they're likely to go up against roaches. So I think that already helps a lot. It makes the distance a lot greater. So yeah, I mean, yet still, Elazer kind of has gone roaches 2 out of 3 games, and it's not looked too bad, but it also hasn't looked particularly good, right? In last game, it was the lurker stage where he actually brought it back. And yeah, to your point, I mean, the Nidus, we saw the Nidus go up as well on Lightshade. We saw the lurkers unload on Lightshade, and they didn't nearly have the same effect as they did in the last map. And a lot of that, I think, is Clem was a little bit slower to respond, a little bit slower to get up that ramp. And then Elazer feels confident enough to actually uproot his lurkers and push onto the center of production of Clem, right? Like where he's actually just going to negate all of the production of Clem. He's going to make it difficult for Clem to come up that ramp. He's going to make it difficult for Clem to even mine his triangle third at that point. And Clem doesn't ever resituate his production was the problem. So when we were looking at production, while he was losing SCVs, he had 1 tank and either 1 Marine and 1 Ghost at a time. That's just not what you want. So again, I call the Ghost the lifelines. As soon as those ghosts fall, or if they can't withhold until Clem gets his production back online, then of course there was going to be a chance for Elazer. And I mean, he made everything that he could make happen there with what little he had to work with. But yeah, I mean, deadly as can be, and I am super happy that he's in this series still.
Oh, absolutely. As just see our Reaper gonna come through, drop a grenade, and a Queen just gonna get bopped a little bit. So far, so good still, right? Got Link Speed still coming through. Those couple of Hellions are on the way up from Clem as well. And our Starport will be finishing shortly, as obviously this is going to be one of those no 3cc builds, at least for the moment. Obviously, you typically put the third down about a minute or so from now. He's actually going to straight up put an armory down, so Clem's is going to hellbat this game. I like the mix-up. Let's see if it works, as right now Elazer is droning like crazy, but there's still a reasonable amount of time for him to set up a defense against this.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to make something happen. I mean, I don't know that I love hellbats on this map. Anything can work when you're Clem, of course, but it's going to be difficult, right? Like, there's a lot of space between the natural and the third that's kind of wide open for Queens to sit back comfortably and kite back if they need to. So we'll see what Clem has in store here. It's going to be all about the surprise here. The armory will finish timely. 2 Queens actually a little bit exposed here at the front. 2 more in production, but there's only 5. There's 4 at the front. Some links here being produced as well, but actually a lot of drones in production, and the Baneling Nest is not done. So that is where it could get scary for Elazer here. There's not a spine or anything to fall back to either, and he has already conceded a lot of control and a lot of ground here where the Queens could have been kiting. Now the Queens are cornered, and this is just about one of the worst positions that you can be in if you're the Queens.
Yeah, the queens definitely don't really want to be here right now. Is just going to be seeing a queen getting picked off there towards the natural. I honestly thought the drones on that third base were in trouble. They do end up escaping toward the gold as Clem just says, you know what, I'm going to go into the natural here, chase another queen down, a few drones. He's causing a lot of lost mining time. I'm worried that he's not actually getting a lot of like straight up damage done though. Is he going to see these banelings? He'll get rid of one. He's now going to start forcing some drones to run away from the main. But where's the actual damage? Like again, lost mining time adds up for a lot. Just couldn't this have been so much more? I don't know.
I feel like it could have. I feel like Clem could have actually just looked to trade for the queens, and that would have been very painful for Elazer. Instead, he doesn't really get much drone damage, kind of overcomplicates things with this medevac. I mean, if he can find the damage with it, then maybe he can restabilize and kind of find the damage that he was looking for to begin with. 5 drones only have gone down, but yeah, I mean, all in all, would you call this a success?
Yeah, I think you got to call. Well, this medevac is about to die, right? Then 2 more hellbats. That's going to even up the resources lost. I honestly, I don't know. I think that obviously the mining time is a big deal. And now is where he's going to take advantage. The queen's still dealing with it in the main, and that's just the entire mineral line being roasted. Well, this really just simplified my answer, Cats. Yeah, this was a massive success.
Yeah, well, now there's no doubt. I mean, 20 workers. This might just be game ending here. It's looking extremely grim for Elazer. 27 now have gone down. The entire mineral line that was most saturated, that had to have been running around from the damage or potential damage that Clem could have been doing. So yeah, I am not sure that the initial attack was what Clem was looking for, but those 4 Hellions, I mean, they just ended the series, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's damage that you just don't recover from when you're playing against Clem. You're down 14 workers. I mean, he was set to be up, what, like 8 workers or something? I mean, he just lost 29 workers, right? So he would be 70 drones to 50 SCVs right now. But obviously, losing everything, it's a very different story to tell. And that is unfortunately where we're left with here for Elazer, is he just doesn't really have a way to get any kind of way back into this, because you're that far behind on workers. Now you don't really have a way to kind of like make a cool play or anything. You're going to be behind on upgrades. As he takes a bunch of gases and the lag comes up, I assume he's maybe just going to throw down a Spire and hope that maybe Mutalisk can perhaps spiral into a victory or so. Or do you think there may be another plan, Cats?
I would almost like the Muta. I mean, it's a short rush, a distance by air. There is a Banshee out there, and like you said, it's kind of a Hail Mary of sorts, right? Like if you can actually get on the other side of the map and your opponent doesn't pressure you or something, he has to take some gambles for sure. I wouldn't mind a Spire at all, Wardy, but I think we may not even get to see it.
The Spire would just die right now, but like that's the gamble, right? You have to risk something here, and he is just going to put it down. I don't hate it. Like right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but like if he somehow survives this, and then 2 minutes from now the mutas get across the map, maybe there's some chances, and that is what Elazer is banking on. Is these banelings trying to morph in? He's going to cancel a few. Some will finish, and the connection it's all right, but obviously not good enough as Hellbats are absolutely getting the job done right now. These feelings don't know where to go to for the best. They try to get on top of the Marines. Well, that just ain't going to happen. And Clem continues his way through this, looking to close out the series, and he does indeed find himself the 3-1 victory.